This video is based on control statements in programming languages. There are three basic types of control statements, namely sequence, selection, and repetition. These are the languages we will be covering in this video tutorial. Control statements are the statements that select or repeat the control flow of a program. Control structure is a control statement and a statement whose execution is controlled. Sequence. Sequence is the simplest control structure. Basic arithmetic, logical and bit operations are in this category. Data moves, copies also sequences. Most register and processor control operations are sequences. Some computer scientists group subroutines and functions as a special kind of sequence, while others group them as a special kind of branching structure. Sequential structures are done sequentially. It is a program segment where statements are executed one after other. Selection. Selection structure consists of direct and indirect jumps, including the infamous goto, conditional jumps if, nested ifs, and case or switch structures. The basic structure of if condition is stated here. Here the condition is a Boolean expression. If the condition is true, then the statements are executed. If the condition is false, statements are bypassed. This is the structure of switch. The control expression and the constant expressions are integer type. The selectable statements can be statement sequences, compound statements, or blocks. The optional default segment is for unrepresented values of the control expression. If the value of the control expression is not represented, the constructor does nothing. The switch construct does not provide implicit branches in code segments. This allows control to flow through more than one selectable code segments on a single execution. Repetition. Repetition or looping control structures are do while, do until, and for loops. The basic structure of the do while loop is represented here. Do while loop always executes its body at least once, because its condition expression is at the bottom of the loop. Each iteration of the do while loop first executes the body of the loop and then evaluates the conditional expression. If this expression is true, the loop will repeat, otherwise loop terminates. This is the while loop structure. While loop is another essential control structure. In each iteration, first the condition is checked, and when condition true, the body is executed. If false, loop terminates. The number of iterations cannot always be predetermined in a while loop. For loop structure. When exact number of iterations are known, we can use for loop. Let's move on to control statements in practice. Most programming languages with control structures have an initial keyword which indicates the type of control structures being used. Languages are then divided as control structures without final keyword and control structures with final keyword. ALGOL 60, C, C++, C#, Ruby, Java, Pascal, PHP, and Python are example languages without the final keyword. So, these languages need some way of grouping statements together. For the other category, which has a final keyword, ALGOL 68 and FORTRAN 77 are examples. These languages use end keyword or keywords on their own, such as ASAC to end case to group statements. Let's move into the next part, sequence control statements for each language. This is the primitive C++ program sequence. Operators used and their precedence is stated in this slide. From now on, I'll go through example control structures in each languages very briefly because most of these structures are very similar. Let's move on to selection control statements in C++. Example coding of a switch case is represented here. It is written in C++. The X variable within the brackets will be filled by either 1, 2 or some other value, and accordingly the output will be given. This is a go-to statement example. And this is if statement example. Now we look into Ruby examples of switch case.